Hey, I'm Matthew Moscoviak from CNET, and we're taking a look at the Harman Kardon AVR 1610. This is a slim 5.1 receiver with built-in Bluetooth that's selling for $400. The AVR 1610 just plain looks nicer than almost any other AV receiver on the market. Instead of the traditional big and boxy design, it has a polished look with smooth corners that manages to pull off a glossy black finish that doesn't look tacky. It's also a good deal slimmer than your typical AV receiver, and it's remarkably light at just 10 pounds. It's not quite as slim as Marantz's slimline models, but it's pretty close. The remote isn't nearly as well designed. The fatal flaw are the extremely tiny volume buttons, which doesn't make any sense since you're always using them on an AV receiver. It ends up being consistently tough to find those buttons, especially in a dark home theater, so it's a frustrating clicker to live with. For features, the Harman appears pretty good on the spec sheet. On the back, there are 5 HDMI inputs, including an MHL compatible input, which is certified Roku ready for Roku streaming stick. There's an Ethernet port for networking, although note that you cannot update the firmware using that port, and only internet radio and DLNA are supported. There are no other streaming services. The real standout is the AVR 1610 has built-in Bluetooth, which is particularly nice for a $400 receiver. Or at least it would be nice if it worked a little better. Instead of automatically switching inputs when you pair it with the Bluetooth device, the Harman forces you to load an on-screen menu, go to the source select screen, and then choose Bluetooth every time you want to stream. There's not even a dedicated Bluetooth button on the remote, so you're forced to use the on-screen menus. That defeats a lot of the convenience of Bluetooth in the first place, and other Bluetooth-friendly receivers don't have the same problem, including Sony's excellent STR-DN840, which costs only $50 more and adds Wi-Fi and AirPlay. We also had resident audiophile Steve Guttenberg give the Harman a listen, and he was a little underwhelmed. For one, the AVR 1610's automatic speaker calibration ended up setting the subwoofer much too loud, to the point where the subwoofer was audibly distorting. And even after we manually tweaked the settings, it didn't have quite the punch or poise of the similarly priced Marantz NR1403, which overall sounded better, especially at louder volumes. And so ultimately, the AVR 1610 ended up feeling a bit like an underachiever, especially after we lived with it for a bit. It has a great look, and on paper the features are good, but altogether it just doesn't work as well as you want it to in practice. I'm Matthew Moscoviak, and this is the Harman Kardon AVR 1610.